What if everything you believe about your sexual desire is wrong? What if the urges you think are yours are actually forces from deep within your unconscious, acting through you without your permission? Carl Jung warned that when instinct remains hidden in the unconscious, it does not serve you, it possesses you. Sexual desire, when unexamined, does not awaken your soul, it tears it apart. It pulls you away from purpose, meaning, and inner authority, all while convincing you that you are in control. This is the ultimate illusion. In moments of obsession, compulsion, or shame, many of us act against our own values. We sabotage relationships, make choices we regret, and feel empty, lost, or even defeated. Jung would not call this moral failure. He would call it psychological possession. An unconscious force is controlling the conscious mind. Desire is no longer a life-giving energy. It becomes a silent attacker of the soul's coherence. This is not about condemning sexuality. It's about understanding its true power. Because what you do not see within yourself will eventually rule you. And only by facing it consciously can desire transform from a destructive force into strength, creativity, and true freedom. Sexual desire is one of the most powerful and mysterious forces within the human psyche. Most people assume that their desires are entirely their own, that they arise from personal choice, physical need, or biological instinct. Yet Carl Jung offered a far deeper and more unsettling insight. He argued that many of our strongest desires do not originate in conscious intention, but from the unconscious mind, a realm that operates independently of our ego. When sexual desire becomes obsessive or compulsive, it no longer feels like something we choose. It feels as though something chooses for us. In this symbolic sense, Jung would say that such desire is not truly yours, but an unconscious force acting upon your soul. To understand this idea, we must first understand what Jung meant by the soul. For Jung, the soul was not merely a religious concept, but the living center of the psyche. It included emotions, instincts, meaning, imagination, and the deep inner sense of identity. When the soul is balanced, a person feels whole and oriented toward purpose. But when unconscious forces overwhelm consciousness, the soul becomes fragmented. Sexual desire, when unconscious and unintegrated, can become one of the most disruptive of these forces. Jung divided the psyche into three main parts: the conscious mind, the personal unconscious, and the collective unconscious. The conscious mind is what we identify with: our thoughts, decisions, and sense of I. The personal unconscious contains repressed memories, forgotten experiences, and unresolved emotions. Beneath that lies the collective unconscious, which holds archetypes, universal patterns of behavior and imagery shared by all humanity. Sexual desire often draws its intensity from this deeper collective level, which is why it can feel overwhelming, symbolic, and irrational. Unlike Freud, Jung did not see sexual desire as merely physical or biological. He understood it as a form of psychic energy, which he called libido. Libido is the energy of life itself. It fuels creativity, ambition, love, spirituality, curiosity, and growth. Sexuality is only one possible expression of this energy. Problems arise when libido becomes trapped in a single channel, especially when that channel is driven by unconscious compulsion rather than conscious meaning. When sexual desire is disconnected from awareness, it begins to dominate the personality. A person may find themselves thinking about it constantly, seeking stimulation, chasing novelty, and feeling restless even after satisfaction. Jung believed this happens because the libido is trying to express something deeper. The psyche is seeking transformation, connection, or wholeness. But because the symbolic meaning is not understood, the energy manifests in a literal and repetitive way. This brings us to one of Jung's most important concepts: the shadow. The shadow is the part of the psyche that contains everything we reject, deny, or feel ashamed of. Sexual impulses often fall into the shadow, especially in cultures where sexuality is associated with guilt or moral anxiety. When a person suppresses desire instead of understanding it, the desire does not disappear. It sinks into the unconscious, where it grows stronger and more autonomous. Jung warned that whatever is repressed will return with greater force. When sexual desire lives in the shadow, it does not feel like a choice. It feels like possession. A person may act against their own values, sabotage relationships, or engage in behaviors that bring regret and shame. Afterwards, they may ask, "Why did I do this?" Jung's answer would be simple but unsettling. Because you were not in control. An unconscious complex was. This is what Jung meant by being possessed by an archetype or instinct. It does not mean something supernatural. It means a part of the psyche has gained autonomy and is acting independently of the ego. In such moments, sexual desire truly does not feel like it belongs to the individual. It feels intrusive, overpowering, and alien. In this psychological sense, it becomes an attack against the soul, not because desire is evil, but because it fractures inner unity. The phrase attack against the soul should be understood symbolically. It refers to the loss of inner balance, meaning, and coherence. When desire rules unchecked, the ego becomes weak. Life becomes reactive. Pleasure replaces purpose. The individual may experience moments of excitement, but beneath them lies emptiness. Jung observed that compulsive pleasure-seeking often leads not to fulfillment, but to depression and meaninglessness. Modern society greatly intensifies this problem. We live in a world of constant stimulation. Images, videos, advertisements, and digital platforms continuously activate unconscious instincts. Jung warned long before the internet that mass culture has the power to bypass consciousness and speak directly to the unconscious. When people are constantly stimulated but rarely reflective, desire becomes automatic. There is no pause, no question, no awareness. Only impulse and reaction. In such a world, many people begin to confuse desire with identity. They say, "This is who I am," instead of recognizing desire as a psychological force that must be related to consciously. Jung believed this confusion is deeply dangerous. Identity should be built on meaning, values, and purpose, not on impulse. When identity is built on desire, the personality becomes unstable. Any frustration feels unbearable, and any restraint feels like repression. It is important to understand that Jung did not advocate suppressing sexual desire. Suppression only strengthens the shadow, nor did he promote indulgence. Indulgence weakens the ego and increases dependency. Jung's solution was integration. Integration means bringing unconscious material into consciousness without judgment. It means observing desire, understanding its origins, and recognizing what it symbolizes. Very often, obsessive sexual desire is not truly about sex. It may symbolize a hunger for intimacy, power, creativity, recognition, or emotional connection. It may be a response to loneliness, trauma, or lack of purpose. When these deeper needs are ignored, the psyche seeks relief through pleasure. But pleasure without meaning never satisfies for long. Jung believed that sexual energy, when consciously understood, can be transformed. This process is part of individuation, the lifelong journey toward psychological wholeness. Individuation requires facing the shadow, including sexual impulses, without being consumed by them. It requires the ability to hold inner tension, neither acting out impulsively nor repressing fearfully. This tension expands consciousness. When libido is integrated, it no longer enslaves the person. It becomes creativity, discipline, love, and vitality. Jung observed that many great artists, thinkers, and spiritual figures were driven by powerful instinctual energy that had been transformed rather than denied. The same force that once caused inner conflict became a source of strength and meaning. One of the greatest tragedies of modern life is not desire itself, but the absence of consciousness. People are either controlled by desire or are terrified of it. Both extremes lead to psychological imbalance. Jung offered a middle path, awareness. Awareness restores dialogue between the ego and instinct. The ego does not dominate instinct, and instinct does not dominate the ego. They learn to coexist. True freedom, in Jung's view, does not come from eliminating desire. It comes from knowing it. When a person can say, I see this desire, I understand where it comes from, and I choose how to respond, the soul regains its authority. Desire loses its compulsive power. What once felt like an attack becomes a message. In conclusion, sexual desire is not your enemy, and it is not your master. It is a powerful psychic force that largely originates in the unconscious. When ignored, repressed, or indulged without awareness, it can feel like an attack against the soul, draining life of meaning and coherence. But when understood and integrated, it becomes a source of creativity, depth, and wholeness. Carl Jung's message was not about moral judgment, but psychological maturity. The soul is not saved by killing desire, but by bringing it into the light of consciousness. Only then can instinct be transformed into strength, and only then can the individual move toward true inner freedom.